Hello, people. What I got coming up is last night I did an interview on the MMA Holes. It's a channel that talks about boxing and it also talks about UFC. It's one of the more popular channels, and they have a nice subscriber base. And the interview was about an hour long, and we discussed the fight between Gotti III and Floyd Mayweather. Basically, it's my honest opinion. I break it down the way I seen it. And everybody has their opinions on this, people. This is my opinion. I know some people aren't going to agree with it, but it's just how I feel. So go watch, watch this video. And then when you're done watching this video, go to the MMA Holes and subscribe to their channel. Especially if you like UFC, boxing, fantastic. But last night was nice because we added a little bit of mob stuff in with the boxing and even the UFC. But it's an hour-long interview, and the gentleman that does that with me, his name is Maz. He usually is on the show with his wife. They do a great job, and if you're looking for a really good channel, that's where to go. Take care, people. Thank you.
From the How You're Gonna Act studios of Arizona, here's what really happened during the Mayweather versus Gotti Brawl. UFC 289 recap afterwards. Let's get to it with the MMA Host. Welcome to the stream. It's good to be back here. Tonight on the MMA Holes, we have a glorious show prepared for you. So everyone strap in and hit that like button, okay? My name is Chris, Mystic Moss, King of the Dragons. I will be chatting with you. We have a special guest on tonight, and we're going to get to that in a second as we discuss the events of Mayweather versus Gotti. That happened on last night, and I didn't think we'd really be talking about it today, to be honest. It's an exhibition bout, and then all of a sudden madness happens. Mayhem. A brawl happens. People trampling each other. The blacks versus the whites. It was craziness, and we're going to discuss that tonight. Afterwards, I will do some UFC 289 stuff as well. But before we get to that, let's get a shout out to our sponsors over here, CBDX.com. The promo code is MMAHOLES for 20% off the finest of THC products. You get high from this. So go to CBDX.com, promo code MMAHOLES for 20% off. MyBookie.ag. The promo code is MMAHOLES for 100% match on your first deposit. Guess what? I won my bets again. Yeah, there we go. Wonderful. So go over to mybookie.ag, promo code MMAHOLES, 100% match in your first deposit, and shout out to Head Rush, 20% off Head Rush. Links are in the description down below. Premium clothing, wonderful clothing. Check it out. Go shopping, Father's Day shopping. Let's go.
Wonderful.
And UFC is going to be on ESPN all the time. So if you want to watch the UFC, you want to watch Tough tomorrow night, click on our link in the description, and everyone that does that gives us about like $10 to $15 per click. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into it. Shameless plugs are over. Make sure you distribute your likes in the box. And tonight we have a special guest. Tonight on the show, we're going to be talking about the Mayweather and Gotti brawl and then some more. We're going to dissect this thing. We're going to talk about it and see what really happened last night. Was it a fix? Was it a phony event? There have been videos that have been releasing of people dissecting this. I have a clip of Angel Gotti, Angel, whatever the hell her name is. Angel Gotti's, John Jr.'s sister. She has something very interesting to say. Also, I found out something about the ref and the judging and all this crazy stuff. So we're going to tie all the pieces together. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce a special guest, first time on the show. His name is Lee Cole. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Now, it's Lee Cole Jr.?
I'm Lee Cole III.
The third.
And I've been a fan of yours for about 3 years. Well, since you really started from the very bottom, I've always watched your show.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. So we have an MMA hole here. This is great.
Oh, yes. And quite a few friends of mine coming here, too.
That is awesome. That's actually Wonderful, wonderful. Now, a lot of people in the chat probably like, wait,
Who the fuck is that guy?
pump the brakes before you go crazy, okay? Lee Cole does his own podcast, and you could find it Lee Cole the third, right? Is that what we look for on
Lee
YouTube?
Cole Free Podcast, and it's on YouTube.
Okay. And in the chat, if our moderators can throw it in there, Lee Cole 3, check it out over there. He does a podcast that dives into the world of the mafia. Is that what's the best way to describe this podcast?
Well, we give the history of the mafia. We talk about the guys that have flipped evidence. I've interviewed just about everybody there is to interview, it's I do about maybe 4 shows a week. I used to do a lot of lives, but now I like to drop videos, and I do that. And we're working on our Patreon page, and our website's almost done, and our show's growing every day.
There we go. So, yeah, go on over there. They're dropping it in the chat. Thank you, my friendly moderators. Appreciate that. Go subscribe to the channel. I subscribed as well, and we'll check out what you got coming up. I did see you. I was just speaking to you about the video that you just put up about a gentleman that I actually had a weird connection to back in the day, and thank God I'm still alive. So go check out his last video. Ozone Park was a place I'm very familiar with. I actually lived in Howard Beach for a while, and we hung out in Ozone Park as kids constantly. We used to call this place the Avenue over there. We were just getting into trouble, this and that. But there was a lot of crazy stuff that went down in Ozone Park, huh?
Yeah, well, that's the heart. That's where John Gotti's from. That's that's the heart and the soul of the mob. The Ozone Park boys were very vicious. You had an issue with, thank God that you're alive, because this is a group of guys that shot women. I mean, so they weren't no one to play with.
I did see something about, and Casey Jones, thank you so much for the membership, the gifted membership over there. Tropic Tom got it. Thank you. I did see I saw some of the clip where you were saying how they were shooting women in the face. They were unloading clips in someone's face. What was that?
Well, what happened is the Ozone Park boys, they were also down in Florida, and there was a couple Italian guys down there that wanted to play mafia with the real mafia guys. That's a bad idea in the first place.
Sure.
And they started talking. They started bragging about how they were around these mafia guys, the Ozone Park boys. So they thought that they were going to get ratted out. So they went and shot one guy in the face while he was sleeping. His girlfriend got up and yelled. They shot her in the face. They put a full clip in her face, put another clip in, and shot her again in the face.
Jesus.
And then there was a third guy and these guys were big guys. They were bouncers for a club. And they went and killed him too, just because they thought that these guys were going to talk. And these guys were they were all happy to be dealing with these guys from the Queens and stuff. And they were bragging about it, saying, "Oh, we're with the Ozone Park boys." It didn't work out. They called them the Young Guns. Down in Florida, they were known as the Young Guns, because that was Ronnie One Arm's crew.
Okay.
And they were 10 vicious killers.
Wow, man. Yeah, the guy that I messed with, he used to steal airbags for him. Like, that was his deal. Like, I guess he was very low on the totem pole, and he used to steal airbags for the guy. But he was a lunatic too, this dude. Crazy stuff.
Big money in airbags.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in this? Were you dabbling in the mafia or something? How'd you pop into this?
Well, maybe about 2 years ago. My brother killed himself about 2 years ago. It's in the media everywhere. His name was Tom Cole. And I kind of wanted to put my mind on something else. And I chose to go into an area that I thought I'd never go into. I grew up in New York. I know I've never been into life, but I know people into life. Mm-hmm. And I just found it quite interesting. And especially now, for the last 20 years, there's been so many rats coming, just taking down the mob, left and right. Very few guys will do the time anymore. 90% of them will just, start ratting things out.
It seems like you have a very, I got to go through your channel, but it does seem like you have a very interesting group of guests on there that are deep into the stuff. Is the mafia still a thing?
It is a thing, but it's nothing like it used to be. I mean, now you got cameras on the street. If you can go into a neighborhood, you can walk in the woods, and there could be a camera on a tree. I mean, it's not like it used to be where you can kill somebody in the middle of the street. Mm-hmm. And now they come after you for RICO. So if one guy is in a room with somebody that's committing a crime, they could charge the guy that just knows about the crime. So if you just know about a crime, they can hit you with RICO and give you 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. So it's not a good business move to be in the mafia these days, right?
It's insane. It's always been insane. You know, it's you know where your life's going to end. Your life's going to end up in prison or buried where they never find your body, which, you know, I talk about a lot of mobsters have died that way. John Gotti was in charge of the Gambino family for 5 years, and then he spent the last 20 years in solitary confinement, you know, for 20 straight years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. That guy had some life. And his son, we had the pleasure of meeting his son just through the third, John the Third, when he got into the MMA game. We were covering the regional scene. Great guy, John the Third. And he was a pretty big prospect back in the day. But now in hindsight, and I'm not trying to, we got a little hell for horsing around in our last stream about it. But listen, I mean, when it comes down to it, there's levels, right? And John is very good, but it seems like, I don't know if he's ever going to be UFC caliber. So I noticed he pivoted to boxing. And then when I was looking at his resume on boxing and his opponents, these guys look like they were handpicked. And when we spoke to John Jr., he basically said he is not looking to rush his son. He's looking to take the slow path up and see where it goes, and hopefully it winds up in the UFC or something like that. So now he finds himself fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr. It's amazing, massive leap for him to fight this man, Floyd Mayweather Jr., but it's an exhibition bout. So give me your opinion on this whole setup with Floyd.
First of all, anybody that thinks that fight was fixed is absolutely wrong. It was not. People don't do, I'll give you an example. You have one young lady that maybe wrote something that she shouldn't have wrote. Do you think that if she thought her father was fixing that fight, that she would, you know, she's being put out there in front now for something she wrote? I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, I thought the same thing. I actually listened to that fight listening to you last night because I wasn't going to pay for it. I'll be honest with you. You know, I don't pay. You saved me a lot of money, Maz. Let me put it that way. A lot of money.
I like to hear that.
So, you know, you were talking about the fight, but when you were describing it, I didn't realize all the holding that was going on. But another thing too is you got to remember this referee that's with him is with him on all his fights. He's you got to remember, and also this fight last night was a Mayweather production, and where he got outsmarted, and I think this really got underneath his skin, is that Gotti wanted his money up front because, as we know, he still has not paid Logan Paul a couple $1 million.
Correct. Yeah.
So, you know, Gotti's not going to, you know, Gotti knows he wants his money up front. So he got the majority of his money up front. And it was, the last 2 days was very tense. They went from friends to a lot of anger. And then all of a sudden, Floyd shows up with extra guys. A matter of fact, you were talking yesterday about when they had to slow the fight down because the guys couldn't find seats. Floyd went out and got some more members to put in his army because who knows why.
Yeah.
But, you know, why did come on, think about it. The ref stopping that made no sense whatsoever. Floyd could have won 4 more minutes. Gotti would have won 4 more minutes. Sure, Gotti would have probably lost. But the fact of the matter is that was the most ridiculous stoppage I've ever seen in my life.
So to actually, I just found this out right before I went live. So there's a video. I was looking for it again so I could play it, but I can tell you exactly what happened here. So the ref was talking to people that were filming him right after the fight, and he's like,
yes.
Listen, you saw that video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he basically
that's the one with Tarver in it. He's talking to
was it Tarver? Okay.
The boxer. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he was explaining that there's no judges, so you can't take a point. Right. So as he was warning these guys, hey, listen, you can't be doing this. You can't be doing this. They weren't listening. So he's like, what? The only thing left to do is stop the fight. So hearing that, he's actually right. Like, I mean, listen, it's against the rules. It's a weird thing. You should be able to trash talk. Like, it's silly. They're boxing. They're fighting each other. Not being able to trash talk is the dumbest thing ever. What would Muhammad Ali ever do if he couldn't freaking trash talk? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? But apparently it was in that contract. And like you say, the ref is in Floyd's pocket. He has to honor that contract. So if there's shit talking going there, It is what it is. You got to stop that fight right there. And I think Gotti was so heated because he still had something left in the tank and he wanted to keep going. So it steamrolled into that. The thing is, watching it live, it looked very, very fake, right? It really did. But in a rewatch, and I'm going to play this clip from Angel Gotti, the sister, I got to be honest with you. I think maybe there could have been something in that contract there. You know, it's got to go a certain. I know they're saying it doesn't have to go a certain amount of rounds, but I don't quite believe that. But the melee and the anger in Gotti, I believe, is real. I really do. And watching the people getting trampled afterwards and all this rollover, I'm starting to say, okay, hold on a second. This is strange. Now, I'm going to play this real quick. I want to get the chat's opinion on this. This is the video. It literally, they just had this podcast. Go subscribe to Angel Gotti, which I didn't even know had a podcast over here. But I guess Mafia podcasts are a pretty big thing, huh, Lee?
Oh, very. It's a very. You get more and more people in it every day, but you have to know what you're doing, or you won't survive.
Okay, what do you mean? Like literally won't survive, or what are you saying?
No. I mean you won't survive. There's too much competition out there.
Oh, really? Wow. I am literally a casual to this. I had no idea, but I'm going to dive down this road. My wife, Jessie, is like obsessed with Mafia stuff, so I'm sure she's going to love your podcast. Here we go. Let's play this really quick. And chat, let me know if you've seen this yet. This literally, she just said this right before we went live.
On Team Gotti's side, because somebody could have been killed. People could have died.
And I'll be honest.
This was definitely not staged.
By the way, Lee, do you know who John Minucci is? I know he was at the event.
He's a good Gotti. He's a friend of John Gotti Jr. He's he's a friend of the family. He was there at the fight.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, he was there. I was just curious, like what his relationship was. But it's pretty interesting what he says here.
Your nephew called him out in the press conference. If anybody was watching, or whoever has a brain could hear it. That there's not going to be any code words. We're going to war to kill or be killed.
Yeah, and there was
Mayweather
no contract.
had code words when he fought one of the Paul brothers. If you notice, Mayweather actually knocked him out, and he held him up because the more rounds you go in that fight, it was in the contract in that fight.
Right.
More rounds you go, the more money you made. So he held him up to put on the show.
So that's pretty interesting, right? So with that, and I did hear rumblings of that, holding up, what's it called, Logan Paul. So
he did hold him up in that fight. He hurt him and held him.
Here's my problem with this, and I believe that tremendously. I think that's right. But in the fight yesterday, Floyd went balls to the wall and then backed off. I got to be honest with you, Lee. I have a feeling there was a round thing with this one as well, and that's where I feel like. Listen, it's an exhibition bout. So if people say it's scripted in this, it is, really, because it's exhibition. It's nonsense. It's not even a real fight. I mean, they are fighting, but there's no end result, right? Both hands are going to be raised. Everyone's happy. Unless someone gets knocked out, I guess, right? But
well, he came in there in the first round. He was looking to embarrass him and knock him out. It was obvious because Floyd never comes in. You said this in your fight yesterday, too. He never comes in throwing punches like that in the first round. That's something he's never done before. He usually he works his way into the fight, and it kind of surprised Gotti. Didn't expect to see that level of Floyd. It took him by. This is just my opinion. It took him by shock. He wasn't prepared for it. And if the fight went 2 more rounds, we know who. Everybody's going to say who won. They know darn well that Floyd Mayweather was winning the fight easily. But let's face it, too. There was no marks on the face of Gotti at the end of that fight. Not one bruise. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was at 2 after parties. He had no bruises on his face.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like a sparring match, but it was dominated by Floyd, I felt. But yeah,
yes.
Gotti didn't seem like he was in danger. There was never a moment in that fight where it was just like, oh my, he's going to go down. Every time he was getting shot, it was like he was swatting a fly at some points. And yeah, and he had a full gas tank at the end. So yeah, it was goofy. It was silly, and the fact that no one paid for this shit. I mean, I can only imagine what their pay-per-view buys were for this thing.
It wasn't high.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm not talking.
Okay.
You good?
I'm sorry. You had Barstool. You had the owner there came on today and said he didn't even know there was a fight.
Yeah. That's a big
But
problem.
if Barstool doesn't know that they're fighting, that's not a good thing. That means that it was very poorly presented to the public.
Yeah, if John got his money up front, which is a smart move because Floyd doesn't pay, I'm assuming Floyd got paid already too. I looked at his social media. There wasn't nothing. Like there was one poster maybe a couple of days ago about it, and that was it. Like he didn't hype this up or anything. It was like a complete joke. But, the event happens. It's a circus. The Gotti crew is rolling deep. Anytime I've been to an event, they just pack the building. So that was interesting. And then Floyd bringing that extra security, I guess he understood that they were rolling deep over there, so he had to make sure he beefed up.
He understood they weren't playing around with a bunch of little boys that hang around the Paul brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way. These were men. And you got to remember, these guys on Floyd's team, and you don't see this, they were punching out women. They were knocking out women in the audience. There were no Gotti people getting up, knocking women out. And, they weren't in the ring pushing a guy into the corner like that. That was one group of guys that were doing it. And yet you're going to have this twisted by the media. There's no doubt because, with the way everything is in the media now. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to cover it more than that. But, but let's remember who was doing all the aggression in the fight.
Yeah, you're right, though. When I was searching for all these videos, there was one video, we played it on air, where, bunch of meatheads were going after these guys, and it looked pretty bad. But that was the only video that I did see. And then everything else, there was a girl's top that got ripped off, and she was getting kicked in the head with heels. I got a picture of the girl that did it. I can't show the video, but check this out over here. This freaking crazy ratchet girl. She, hold on a second. I got to make sure I don't show the fucking tits coming out. If you want to see,
I've seen that.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? But this fucking crazy bitch, she went on a rampage. Apparently, she's some sort of reality star or something. I don't know who the hell she is.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Okay. So, she went nuts. Well, I don't know why she's going crazy. You just got all this nonsense going on here, man. Like, just crazy. She's kicking this girl in the head. She's freaking kicking this freaking girl in the head.
And you see that guy that she pushed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was
that's her bodyguard.
No way.
It's her bodyguard. She pushed her own bodyguard.
Oh my God. Yo, it's nuts, man. This girl went off. She definitely was. She was kicking her in the head. This girl over here, her top is completely off, and she's just putting her stiletto in the side of her head. That
was the most exciting part of the fight.
Yeah. yeah, I know, right? It's craziness, mayhem. But yeah, there's all these videos popping up of these nudniks going nuts, and like Gotti said, the sister said, someone could have got killed here. So to say that this was scripted, maybe there was something about the rounds, but that's probably it. I mean, if there was anything, I can't see this whole nonsense with the brawl in real time.
Miles, I can guarantee you 100% there was nothing scripted here. What went on? You don't script things like this. I mean, this was dangerous. This was big men. I'm surprised one of them didn't pull something out. I guess that they must have checked them for weapons going in, because that could have very easily that could have turned into a shootout.
Yeah. That's. I mean, when I've gone to CES and the Gotti crew were in the building, I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I heard the Gotti chant, and we were rooting for Gotti and everything like that. But I don't know who the hell's out there. I don't know who's got what. I'm not gonna mess with any of these dudes. Now we got to brawl with these crazy guys. Like, I don't know what's going on here. But I mean, it's just nuts. And then you got Floyd jumping on the ropes, like laughing and celebrating this thing.
Yeah, because he set that whole thing up. He loves it. Are you kidding? He's a mental midget. He loves it.
So who would you say in this situation? Like, I think we could agree Gotti probably shouldn't have went crazy after they stopped the fight.
Not.
So if you think about it, that's the biggest problem there. He shouldn't have done that. But after that, like, everyone jumping in and everything like that, I mean, where's the security? I don't understand this.
That's a very good question. The security was very lax. And at the end, when the Gotti went back to the dressing room, the police department showed up and told John Gotti Jr. that they were going to help them all get out to the cars and stuff. And John Gotti says, "No, we're walking out of this building without no cops." Mm-hmm. So, these aren't the Logan brothers, the Paul brothers. These are, it's like I said, these are guys that, a lot of them grew up in the streets of New York and stuff. These are tough guys. They'll take a beating before they start having cops take them to their car.
So according to that gentleman that was on Angel's podcast, he's basically said that there was an apology after the event, but that doesn't mean that this is squashed.
No.
So
yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen?
They went to the Hard Rock Cafe. They had a watch party. They all went there, and there was a lot of lies told that John III had bruised up face and stuff. It looked like he was hit with pillows if he had bruised up face. And listen, I'm not making. There's no doubt Floyd won that easy, and I'm not going to be one of those fools saying otherwise. But the fact of the matter is, he never put him in danger. Let's put it that way.
There you go. All right, chat. We got a live chat going over here. Let me know what you think about what was said. Do you still think it was fixed? Do you think it was real? What do you think is the repercussions for something like this? We had last night, I'm not going to say the guy's name, but a promoter, I was going back and forth with a promoter and a matchmaker, and they basically agreed with what I was saying on air, where John Gotti, like, what's next? Like, who's going to sanction a John Gotti fight now? Because he does roll deep, and he did. I mean, after the fight was stopped, he jumped over. Like, the promoter was telling me, bare knuckle seems like a good idea. UFC dreams out the window. What do you think is next for John, the third?
My opinion, people are going to say I'm crazy. I think they'll fight again.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. Because now nobody knew about this fight. Now everybody knows about it today. Everybody. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's on ESPN. I mean, once people come to calmer minds and say, look, people next time will pay for this, even though we most likely know the outcome. Yeah. And I look at it this way. If Conor McGregor can throw a hand truck through a window of a bus and almost kill a couple people, and they could use that to boost him up, what happened yesterday was no worse than that hand truck going through that bus window.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking, he literally could have killed somebody.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And they still used that, and they promoted it, and they'll promote anything. I mean, if you have an opportunity of somebody making a lot of money here again, and listen, I know people are going to say, no, Lee, you're wrong. But, we've seen this so many times in this, Maz, you do the MMA, and you see all the time people that they say will never rematch again, they rematch.
Yeah. So my only thing is, this is such a lopsided mess that I don't know how, like I understand the money point of view. I don't know how you can say that Gotti would even have a shot in a rematch. Like, it was just.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I mean, but there's a lot of people that don't know they're not even watching the fight from last night. They're just looking at everything else. Mm-hmm. People will literally buy that fight just because they're looking at everything else.
Just as a show. You're saying like a show, right? Like, so basically.
It's a show.
Yeah.
Look what happened. Come on. That fight went from nobody knowing it was on to everybody knowing it was on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had the idiot Skip Bayless talking about it, and he was talking about it with Shannon Sharp, and then you had ESPN was doing it. I mean, that fight got so much publicity. The New York Post put an article out today. It made the Post. They talked about Barstool. They talked about Jeff Nadeau. I mean, they talked about a lot of people today.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It's all over the place. Yeah, I mean, listen, there are crazier circus fights. I mean, you had Lamar Odom versus that guy that killed himself, that little white kid. Like, that they have circus fights all the time. It's gonna be interesting to see where they would sanction something like this, considering the ruckus that came. But money talks, right? There's gonna be some place.
Let me tell you, when those guys, okay, we know it can't be in the casino.
Yeah.
Because John Jr. is not allowed in the casino. Okay.
well, you know what's funny though? CES was in a casino. And CES event was in a casino. John Jr. was there.
I heard that one time you had to go to a casino and he dressed up.
maybe he had they had to escort him through the casino. But yeah, we met him. We actually met him in the hallway of a casino, John Jr. And he was there. Yeah,
that's interesting, but that's not just John Jr. That's anybody that's in that life.
Okay.
Yeah. You never really, you get put in a book and stuff, whatever they call it, and but maybe. Hey, listen, I think that fight. This is just my opinion. If they fought again, it's going to sell out. And I would tell John Gotti the third, run across the ring like he did in the 6th round, and just go at him. What do you have to lose?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Lee says it's going to happen. I don't think it is, to be honest with you. I understand money talks. I don't think it will happen. It's just, if no one bought this first one, I think people are like, yeah, this is just too stupid. I saw Ariel Helwani tweeting saying this is rigged. And, I think people are just going to go with that and say, yeah, this is nonsense.
When's he been right about anything anyway?
He's a dick. He's a fucking asshole.
I can't stand that guy.
Let's see. Chat, what do you got over here? We got a donation coming in from KC. Thank you for gifting another membership. Lee, thank you. I saw you re-upped your membership. I appreciate that, my man. Thank you so much.
No, I forgot that I didn't even have it here, and I came in the other day and realized I didn't.
Oh,
your show, I love coming to your show because it's like I said, you saved me a lot of money, and people don't realize that in the old days, people used to listen to fights on radio.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of give them that with your show. You give them the opportunity. And I just say to myself, I'm listening to a fight on a radio. Yeah. I remember listening to when Ali fought the first fight against Frazier. It was on radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little boy.
Oh, wow. I thought you were about 21. Wait, what do you mean? Wait, how old are you? I thought you were like 21 years old. What's going on here?
I'm 62 years old.
62. Oh my God, I didn't think that.
I just lost over 50 pounds, and
good for you.
Yeah. The trolls want me to die, so I want to live. So I just lost a bunch of weight.
All right, Chad. What do you got here? We got a donation from. This is from Roberto.
Wonderful.
Guy that manages the ghetto performers was present this guy the most racial person in YouTube. He wants race wars. He thinks if Bloods and Crips unites, they burn a city down.
Oof.
What a clown.
What do you think about that?
Who's she talking about?
That's Vishwana. She reads the donations. But I think he's basically saying, like, this could start a race war. That's what I thought. When I was watching it,
without a doubt.
It just seemed like, oh, here we go. Why is this happening right now? It was ugly to watch. Like you got two different colors going at it. It's like I felt like I was watching a Bronx Tale. It was a little silly. But, and it's trickling over to the next. The good news is when I did see the girl ripping the other girl's top off, there were multi-races working together. So that's good. I hope people look at that, not the nonsense between, Italians versus blacks and all that crazy shit.
The media was all over the racism angle. And plus some people made mistakes. I've done it. We all done it.
Yeah.
You just got to we're in a new era where you just got to be more careful, whatever you write, when you call people animals right away, they turn that into racism. So people shouldn't use the word animal because you know what they're going to think. And if people are attacking you and kicking you in the head, they are kind of an animal. It doesn't matter what color they are.
Well, it's funny. It's hilarious that you say that because when I was listening to Angel's stream right before we went live, I had Jesse with me and she was calling him a bunch of animals and her co-host was calling him a bunch of animals. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, as a kid, when that happened, that was racist, right? Like, it's like, oh, look at these fucking animals over here. Like, that's a racist. Italians do that, right? But it's like, it's 2023. We probably should, especially after something like this happened, even though if you don't mean any racism behind it, you probably should pump the brakes because calling them a bunch of animals. I mean,
well, you want to hear something funny? Angel Gotti's partner, Marla, the woman that was talking, is a black woman.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that sometimes. And so Angel has to tell her, whoa, don't say it,
Yeah, they were both fired up. So did you listen to that stream before?
I've been on Angel Gotti's show many times.
Oh, okay.
We gotta maybe probably 100 times.
Really? Oh, we got to get her on, man. She's hilarious.
Yeah, well, she's not. Me and her ain't getting along too good right now, but she's not someone that you want. She has her father's killer in her. Let's put it that way.
Really?
She's just like, she don't take no crap.
Okay, so why are you guys not talking?
That's this is the mob thing. Hey, people make mistakes. I decided that I'm gonna interview informants. Angel and her people don't like informants, so that kind of and we were very close, but it's a decision that I made for my show with my partner, and ever since we made that decision, we just had our best month ever.
Oh, okay.
And we're trying to treat our show like a business because it's starting. You know what I mean? This is your business. This is your life, and it pays the bills. and that's what my show is starting to do. It's starting to be able to make me money and pay the bills.
So yeah, I noticed. Well, I mean, I'm not really into this world, but I do notice that like the little bit that I have seen, it's like it's very clicky, and
Yes.
and you have to make sure you stay on one side, because once you start dabbling to the other side, getting the other side of the story, it's a wrap.
Yeah, and that's what happened with me. My biggest mistake is I should have came in here, had no side, and just interviewed who I wanted, and I made the accidents of making commitments that I couldn't keep because I took on a partner. My partner wants to interview anybody.
Okay.
And there's still a couple people I won't interview Sammy Gravano, let's say.
You wouldn't,
You know,
if he came your way, you wouldn't
No.
take that. Why not? Oh, is it just too much baggage?
No, because there's he murdered the 16-year-old boy, and he lied about it, and he's just not a very nice man. He's just a kind of an evil man, and he hasn't changed. He was a serial killer when he was 20, and he's 80 years old now, and he still wants to kill people. That's probably the main reason that I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's not a good look. I tell you, John Jr. was the nicest guy. We met him a bunch of times. He is such a... He's like... I was shocked. I'm like, this guy is John Gotti Jr. How is this even possible? Such a nice... And his son is super nice. Like, it's,
And see, that's what I mean, though. You know, the media will make them into like they were the bad guys here. But if you look at John III, he never has nothing in his history of doing anything like that. Oh, I can ask you this: has Floyd Mayweather gone to prison for beating women up?
yeah, yeah.
Has John Gotti III?
When we've had John on, every time he said, I don't want to be known because of my father or my grandfather. He's like, I have a whole different path. He didn't want to be, attached to any mob or anything like that. He wanted to be a fighter. Like that's his thing. And it was crazy. When we did the last stream, some girl says, I went to school with John and you're talking shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was having a little fun, but I'm pro John, man. Like, he's actually a stand-up guy. Long Island, the whole thing. Like, I don't know, but it seems like everyone's so sensitive.
People don't understand. You have a shtick that you were doing last night.
Yeah.
And you do it well. But you probably, when you sit down and think about it and you look at the other side, we got to look at both sides here.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that the worst thing that John III did was run at him like that. He should have never done it.
I bet he regrets
Fight was
it.
over, end of story, walk away. But there was a lot of horrible things being said in there, not regular cursing back and forth. I mean, there was some vicious words coming out of their mouths.
Yeah, yeah. It was a lot of them calling each other a bitch, from what I heard. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if John called him the N-word. Do you think John did that?
No. They would never. No. Oh my God.
No?
Can you imagine if he did that?
Yeah.
His life and career would be over.
You think John was like, you Moulignon? Did you think he say that or anything like that, or no?
I think he works out in the gym with all colors every day. I don't think, he's an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
I personally think that he was a much more exciting MMA fighter. I like to see him. I prefer to see, and I had this debate with Angel. I said that I disagree with him boxing. He should be an MMA fighter, because he was very exciting at that. And Joe Rogan blew him up. If Joe Rogan blows you up on his show,
Yeah.
you do what Joe Rogan says. You know?
Yeah.
And that's why it didn't make sense to me getting away from doing that.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. We got another.
But if he made $1 million yesterday, maybe it does make sense.
How much do you think he made? Like, I was listening to that podcast, and I was hoping they would give a number or a ballpark. I wonder what he made.
This way, his father knows how to make money.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. He lives in a beautiful house on Long Island. He doesn't get involved with any of this crap online here. He stays out of it, and he raises his family, all good kids. His daughter is a top Division III point guard. Most people don't notice in college. And so it's obvious it's a very athletic family. But it's he's probably shocked at this. What
Yeah.
happened yesterday, I can just see he was shocked.
Yeah, the way he jumped in there, he's like, "What's going on?" Like you can tell, like this is. Yeah, when I watched John Jr. hop in there, I was like, "Okay, wait, hold on a second." Like in real time, I was like, "This is a work. This is silly." But in like hindsight, I'm like, "Oh shit, man! I think I was off on that." And I actually reached out to John Jr. see if I could get him. I've had my run-ins with him. He's such a nice guy. I gave it a shot. I threw it out there. Should I mention your name?
No.
I know Lee.
You know
No.
what you do? You know what you do? Get a hold of Angel, and you never know. But I'm gonna be honest with you. One thing about John Jr., he doesn't get involved with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
None of it. He's just very private guy. Very rarely. But what it's like they said when they were down there. They had hundreds of people that literally flew from all over the country to see this fight that were Gotti people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it's packed.
Yeah, and he knew that. Floyd knew that he wasn't going to be able to bully that group of people like he could like that idiot that took his hat.
Yeah, Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake. I mean, Jake could have got killed that day. That was so stupid. He has no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, well, he's a knucklehead. He's a smart businessman, but a knucklehead. We got another alert.
You've got a lot of smart businessmen around here.
Yeah.
Even Floyd, you can say what you want about Floyd. People say, oh, Floyd's broke and all that. He seems to be living pretty good for a broke guy.
Yeah. Floyd's just fine. We got an alert here from, this is from Manny C.
If you notice that the Mayweather team surrounded Gotti, but didn't swing, I wanted to ask Lee, what would have happened if Gotti would have gotten jumped? Would the Mayweather team need to be careful when starting their cars?
Okay, so he's saying Gotti, but she's saying Gotti. She's calling
Yeah, no, actually, that's a good question. Listen, the Gottis don't have the power they used to have. But if people don't think they actually still know people, I mean, you're kidding yourself. I wouldn't do it. No, even though they're out of the life, you'll have people say stupid things like, "Oh, they're out of the life." They're not totally out of the life. I mean, you still got friends.
Yeah.
They still got friends. They got a lot of people that worship their father that are still alive. I mean, John Gotti Sr., whether you like him or hate him, he did the last 20 years in solitary confinement. So he has a lot of respect from a lot of people on the street.
That's what I did notice when we did cover those events, and I looked around that crowd. I saw some people there. I'm like, I would never mess with that human being. Like, you can tell there are certain people that are so loyal to that family, they would literally give their life for that family. So,
well, there was one guy. There was one of them outside the ring that was knocking guys out left and right.
Yeah,
guy with long hair out there. I don't even know who he was, but I think he knocked out like 6 guys. I mean, 6 big guys. He was just knocking them out.
These guys are
just
lunatics.
like. That wouldn't happen in 1985 because Floyd wouldn't be able to go home ever.
Do you ever think to yourself, I might have picked the wrong path in a podcast? I mean, you're treading dangerous water.
I've been threatened. I've had people angry at me. But the worst are these little weasel trolls. You know what I'm talking about. The guys that sit home in mommy's basement.
Yeah.
And they get all big and tough and they start saying things to you and stuff. Like I had actually an MMA fighter send me a picture of my house and tell me that he's going to come kick my ass. And I worry about guys like that.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of guy that would come to my house and kick my ass.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
he was
fighter?
a pretty good fighter.
Wait, is he like a pro fighter or is it like a
Yeah,
regional?
he was a pro fighter. Yeah.
Really?
He never made it to the UFC, but he fought had a couple of really good fights against good fighters.
What'd you do? Why'd you get him so mad? What happened?
Because we had a debate and I was going at him pretty hard on a channel, and that was his way of warning me, I guess.
Well,
but
it's
you
funny.
have it happen all the time.
It's funny you mentioned him. He's here right now. Should I bring him on or no?
I get along good with him. Okay, I have no
okay.
issues. I have no issues with him. That was way back 2 years ago.
Okay.
When I came into this, I was a big asshole. I got into arguments with everybody. Now I'm just doing my own thing and trying to stay the hell out of this.
Sure. And where do you reside now?
I live in Texas.
Oh.
In Amarillo. My family's from New York. I grew up in New York, and I'm in Texas now in the Amarillo area.
And you walk around with that Yankee hat in Texas? They don't want to knock you out when they see you with that hat?
People here are real good people.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a cowboy looking for you here, you got a problem. You know,
yeah.
it's not, you know, you treat people good here. I live in the most wonderful area. You know, I've been all over this country. Where I live right here, I absolutely love Texas. And plus, ribeye steak is the cheapest here than any place in the country.
There you go. Yeah.
So if you like your ribeye, this is the place to be.
Well, everyone's fleeing New York. I fled New York as well. Now we're in Arizona. So
My family too. It's doing the same thing.
So you still have family there?
My sister has a martial arts school there, and I got two family members there. We had 11. 4 is gone now, but we're all over the country now. But we all we grew up in New York. I grew up in Yonkers, and I worked in Manhattan and when I was married, I lived in Brooklyn and Queens.
Oh, look at that. What part of Queens?
Down by Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria.
Okay.
And then I lived in Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge area, by Sheepshead Bay too. I lived in 3 areas in Brooklyn.
And have you ever gotten into trouble, like running around Queens, New York, or Brooklyn, or whatever?
Have I gotten in trouble?
Yeah. What kind of trouble you get into?
Yeah, I got kind of an arrest record.
Oh, do you really? What'd you get arrested for?
Just about everything.
Rape or no? What happened?
No hitting people. No,
Okay.
My stuff was always monetary stuff. I done some. I'm not. You listen. I'll give you an example. When I started in the mob genre, people that didn't like me, the first thing they did a show with my criminal record.
Oh, so
Then but my attitude is, this is the mob genre. I got a criminal record. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you have.
You
have some street cred now. So how much time did you do?
I've always done, altogether, I've done about 3 years, but it's always been county time.
Okay.
I've always been lucky where I didn't, and believe me, I should have done state time, but I've always been lucky that way. And I've been a good boy for about 15 years now.
Good for you, man. Yeah, see, you pulled it all together. So you moved to Texas, you straightened yourself out then.
Yeah. Last time I got in trouble was after one of my divorces. And right after that, I got in trouble again.
How many divorces did you have?
3.
What? You didn't learn your lesson after the second?
Who the hell ever learns a lesson with women?
I'm on my second. I think I'm going to stick with this one though. So 3, huh?
Well, you know what? You're getting her pregnant all the time,
That's
so you
right.
got no choice. You got to stick with her.
Locking her up. That's it.
And and I'm going to tell you something. You should listen to her more often.
I should.
When she was so annoyed with you yesterday when you were pretending that Floyd was losing the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, she was like that.
You can annoy the hell out of her sometimes, and I can swear you do it on purpose.
Yeah, well, I'm a dick. I'm a dickhead, but she gets me back. We get each other back pretty good. But no, we have a loving relationship in front of everybody.
Well, what I like about your show is the fact that she actually knows what she's talking about. I mean, you got really lucky there that you have that partnership, and I can imagine, like, if you guys have an argument, then all of a sudden you got to do a show for 3 hours. That can't be the easiest thing in the world.
No. Well, I'm weird like that. Like, we'll get into a tiff on air, but I'm like in like razor sharp, let's get to the next topic thing. So I'm always in that zone. So it doesn't really bother us. We get into silly arguments here and there, but it's fun content when we yell and scream at each other. I think people, we shake things up a little bit, but it doesn't roll into our real life, thank God. Because if it did that, then we'd probably be. That'd be it. But
it's funny. I know people in the mob genre, and I told them about your show, and they come over and look at it, and they go, "Oh, I'm going to start a show and do something like them," and they soon realize that what you do is almost impossible to do.
It isn't easy. Yeah, a lot of people try to get in front of a microphone because it's like, oh, you're just sitting there and talking. It's not that simple. It's a little more complicated.
Your setup, the way your setup is there, like right now, the way it's obvious that you got someone that's does great graphics, and then you're working. So you got people behind you, it seems, that know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, well, that means a lot.
No, but I do.
My old ass didn't know any of this stuff. I taught my stuff as, everything's. I'm self-taught, and I got a great partner who's kind of a nerd, and he's a good researcher.
Yeah, no, we have business partners, but when it comes to the creative stuff, it's all out of my big stupid face. and it's taxing. Like after a while, you just like you're stressed out trying to do the next thing and everything like that. But it's fun. Who can complain about doing this shit, right?
I got some people coming in that I know here that I recognize from my side.
Who we got?
I'll mention that I was on this show. The reason I don't mention ahead of time because I didn't want the trolls to follow me.
Okay.
I didn't want my 1,000 trolls to follow me in here.
I'll take them. So who's from the chat that you recognize?
There was a guy named Gambino here. Just Smiles here.
Oh, okay.
Gambino.
Welcome, guys.
He came in before. And sometimes these guys have more than one name.
Yeah, that's a common move.
I guarantee you there's a couple people here that don't like me right now with separate names.
Really? Well, if they don't like you, if they're but they're always in your stream, they're massive fans. They just show it in a unique way.
Yeah, we get hate watchers. Like in the mob genre, we get hate watchers.
I got to dabble into this road, man. This is very. What other channel should we, if we're like into this stuff besides your channel? Like, what's a channel that you would recommend?
That I would recommend?
Yeah, or they all suck but yours. What are you saying?
They all suck, but no. They got. It depends what kind of. There's some attack channels over there that are entertaining. Mm-hmm. You got Angel Gotti, which you went on her show.
Yeah.
You have now everybody's going to say I'm kissing Angel Gotti's ass again, so I got to say somebody else.
Well, yeah, I just subscribed to her today. I'm like, I got to watch
did?
more. Yeah, I got to watch more of this. This is interesting to me.
You see that, Angel Gotti? You're pissed at me that I'm on this show. He subscribed to you. He even used some of your work.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Okay?
it. And she's gonna have a flood of subscribers now.
There's a show called Gunsmoke. He's a very his show's building. He's very intelligent when it comes to artwork and stuff and making videos.
Okay.
You know, I use my phone when I make shorts.
Yeah, you can do everything on your phone now. Super simple.
Yeah, and I put them up, and sometimes they'll get 20, 30,000. I'm like, what the hell? Why are people watching that one?
Yeah, who knows, right? It's just it's rolling the dice. You never know what's gonna hit. Well, listen, Lee. Yeah, go ahead.
You must love when you get these big fights coming up. You know, because you were that last card was horrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. The views were
we
terrible.
knew
Everything
what was going to
terrible.
happen in that fight.
Yeah, it was a bummer. Some of these pay-per-views stink, but our show is geared towards just keeping everyone satisfied until we get to the fights. People are here for the reactions, really. They like the interviews too, but I think the reactions are how we really grow our community. So that's what it's all about. But
it's kind of funny, you know. People know that Angel and I are kind of not talking anymore, and right now. You're asking me about her channel. People are putting her channel in here. So the thing is going to be I'm talking to Angel again. I'm over here. I'm pumping her up, and all I'm trying to do is talk because I heard of such a one-side story today about what happened last night.
Yeah,
and it's not one-sided. Both sides are guilty.
Yeah,
you know, and the media. You know, the media is going to go against the Gottis. You know that.
Yeah, I mean. Well, I mean, I got to be honest with you. I feel it's going more against Floyd. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but I don't know. Chad, what do you actually? I'll put a poll in. Like, what are we, Team Gotti or Team? I think they're Team Gotti. I would imagine. I was timing people out for not being Team Gotti, so maybe I'm biased about that. But I don't know. So you think it's more against Gotti?
Well, it's like the media. Whatever way the media decides to take something, and they've taken this in the direction of. That John 3 attacked shouldn't have done that. So basically, you know, like that idiot Harani, whatever the hell his name is, you know, they go in one direction, and that's what you know. Look, you got Skip Bayless going against them today. You had Shannon Sharp going against them.
What did Skip say? I didn't get to hear his thing.
In between showing his sneakers. He basically was saying that Gotti should have never done that.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I mean, I think we all agree that Gotti, he started it, right? I mean, I understand Floyd was probably being a prick throughout the fight, but they're fighting, and Gotti shouldn't have ran around the ref. I would imagine John would agree with that too. I can't see how he wouldn't agree with that. But everything that happened afterwards, you know, they were both equally guilty for sure.
Yeah, but. But when it comes to the brutality and what happened in the ring and the violence,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
that's the violence is on Floyd. And not only that, Floyd could have been a man and walked over and told those guys to back up off of when they were pushing Gotti into the corner. How come Floyd couldn't come over and say that? That's what a decent guy would have done.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. After they kind of cleared it up in the ring, they should have got on the mic or something. Says, "Hey guys, you got to get out of here safely. It's over. You know, the event's over." Blah blah blah. Yeah, there could have been something that was said. Instead, they just kind of started shoveling people out of the building, and then it just was riot after riot. It's nuts, man. But we got to see titties, so that was cool.
And that's exactly what they did. I mean, well, he could have controlled that whole thing. Most of those guys are in there working for him. I don't know where the hell he gets all the money to pay these guys. But I mean, and I'm sure some of those guys would just be there just because they want to be around him.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, look at the size of the guys he goes out to take care of his crew, let's say. They're all like 6'5" monsters.
What was crazy was when John went after him in the beginning, one of Floyd's bodyguards was the first guy over to stop it, and then John's coach jumped in, and it looked like all he wanted to do was just stop, you know, John from going in. It looked like he was just trying to break it up, and then mayhem. It was just like, no, they're separating these guys. They weren't they were trying to separate it and then knuckle. How do you have an event where you're allowing everyone to jump into the ring? Like, that's the craziest shit. Like, it was amazing that it happened in the UFC with Conor and Khabib. Like, that was crazy to see that go down. You would think after events like that, okay, they're never going to let that happen again. There's going to be enough security, but I guess that wasn't the case.
Well, you know what's funny? You remember the bar scene in A Bronx Tale when the big fat guy comes out and pushes the guy against the bar?
Yeah, yeah.
I know there was a couple of those guys that big in the audience, and I was saying, I hope they don't roll up into this thing. Because, you know, I'm talking 300-400 pound guys. And I was like, you know, I'm actually kind of surprised some of them didn't roll up there.
Yeah. Well, the poll is in. So far, 62% are saying their team Gotti, 38% saying team Floyd. We'll leave that up over there. But I got to say, James Gandolfini's here. Big fan. So let's wrap this up in a little bow, okay? So it wasn't fixed, right? When it came to the brawl and everything like that.
100% not fixed.
Okay, not fixed. Do you think there is something, though, that perhaps it was supposed to go X amount of rounds, or there's something that we're not hearing? No, okay, so it's completely legit, you're saying?
100% legit.
Okay.
That kid, he's a good kid, man. He's not going to be taking no dive for nobody or... no, he just made the mistake of not fighting hard early. And Floyd came out and just threw him totally off his game by coming out like that. Mm-hmm. Totally threw him off his game. Got in his head, controlled him for 5 rounds. And the only thing somebody was saying that, Floyd wanted the fight to stop because he didn't want it to go 2 more rounds. 2 more 2-minute rounds? What are you, crazy? Floyd can't go 2-minute rounds?
Yeah, that's a little silly.
Floyd doesn't get tired.
Yeah, it was weird though to see him start that fast. It threw me off a little bit too. I was like, wow, this is different. Like usually Floyd kind of kicks back, loses a round or 2, and then just beats the shit out of his opponent. But
I think he was supposed to go in there. They thought it was going to be an easy exhibition.
Yeah.
And Floyd said, "Nope, I'm going to go balls to the wall right now."
Mm-hmm. Well, all right.
Floyd probably wanted to go home early and, I don't know, go beat his wife or something.
Yeah, probably, or try to read a book. Listen, Lee, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure hanging out.
I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, good times. And if anything else pops off with the Mafia, we know who to call now, okay?
Well, yeah, but next time, can you have the better part of the show here? Because she's kind of like, you know, I love her as on this show. And I came here because I want to meet her, not you.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't blame you, but I don't know where the hell she is right now. She's
hiding. Well, she's ready to have another baby.
She's under one of these TVs over here. I don't know. She's behind. I don't know what the hell's going on. Next time, I'll make sure to have her on. You know, every guest, Sam Alvey said the same thing. Bruce Buffer as well. They're like, "Where's your co-host?" I'm like, "I understand. I'm ugly. I get it. Just answer the questions and just shut up." But thank you, Lee. I appreciate you stopping by. And have a great night. Okay.
And please go sub to Lee Cole 3. If you have not subbed there, it's an awesome show. And Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. I had a
right.
great time.
There he is. Lee Cole 3 live on the MMA Holes. What do you say, chat? What do you say? Okay, we solved it, baby. We solved the mystery of what went down. I know people are still going to say fixed. I agree with the fact that it's not. I'm going to play this one more time for you guys. Listen, I understand this is only one side of the story over here, okay? There are two sides to every story. I would like to hear more from Floyd's camp, but this is interesting. If you haven't seen this, and this is Angel Gotti. This is John Gotti Jr.'s sister's podcast I just found today. And right before we went live, this dropped.
Well, it wasn't staged on Team Gotti's side.
By the way, like, the New York woman accent is hilarious. I'm getting like flashbacks of this is all females in New York.
Well, it wasn't staged on Team Gotti's side because somebody could have been killed. People could have died.
And I'll be honest.
This was definitely not staged.
Your nephew called him out in the press conference. If anybody was watching, or whoever has a brain could hear it, that there's not going to be any code words. We're going to war to kill or be killed.
Yeah.
So the gentleman on the bottom, oh, Lee Cole wanted to meet you, Jess. You didn't want to stop in? Oh, she's not prepared. So the gentleman on the bottom is, like, I guess, a friend of the family. He was at the event in the mix with all this stuff over here. The lady on the top left is John Gotti Jr.'s sister, John III's aunt. Okay. Now, listen, I understand people could be like, oh, you know, are they going to tell her if it's fixed, this and that? Guys, seriously, it's a different scenario. In the real time, when I watched it, I said fixed. I was running around saying this shit was fixed. This is silly. This is scripted. But in all this evidence, in hindsight, running it back and checking out all these videos and the craziness and girls' tops are getting ripped off. Check out our Twitter. Titties all over the place. People getting kicked in the head with stilettos. Mutants fucking beating each other up in the hallways. It was nuts. It was pandemonium, man. It was craziness over here. But here's the rest of what they said. And I do want to get your opinions in the chat.
Yeah, and there was
Mayweather
no contract.
had Paul words when he fought one of the Paul brothers. If you notice, Mayweather actually knocked him out and he held him up.
So it's kind of crazy. Code words during the Logan Paul fight. I kind of believe that. I do believe that. You go X amount of rounds, you get paid X amount of dollars. These are exhibition fights. It's silly.
The more rounds you go in that fight, it was in the contract in that fight.
Right.
More rounds you go, the more money you made. So he held them up to put on the show. And you could hear them saying, yo, champ, take it easy. Take it easy. You hit me too hard. That was all fixed. That's in contracts. There was nothing in the contract.
Well, it wasn't staged.
There's nothing in the contract, he's saying, with the John Gotti fight. Okay? That's what he was saying over here. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. We got Jesse in the mix in the background over here. Jess, how you doing?
Wonderful, Moss. How
Nice.
are you doing?
Wonderful.
We had the Lee Cole the third on, and he was...
Yeah, I listened.
Yeah?
I did listen to the interview. Yeah.
What'd you think about what Lee had to say?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, like, it being a day after, I think there's, like, a little more perspective on the situation. You know, it's easy to, like, change your mind after you've seen and heard everything there is to see and hear from when it was actually happening. So I'm kind of, like, on the side of maybe it wasn't scripted and people are, you know, it really, really did get out of hand. And, you know, I mean, you could see from all the backstage stuff, it's pretty...
Yeah.
You can't stage that stuff. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. An exhibition fight getting this hostile is bizarre. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would an exhibition fight get this hostile? Now, here's the key fact of the story. The ref, first of all, this is Floyd's ref, right? I saw in the chat, too. It's Floyd's ref. This guy in there is there to protect Floyd. There are no judges because it's an exhibition fight. And it didn't even jump into my mind to think about that. So if there are no judges and if there are fouls going on in the fight and they keep happening and the ref is warning the fighters, he's going to stop the fight. He's going to say, all right, no more, because we can't take a point away. There's no judges. It's an exhibition bout. If there are fouls that are happening, you can't do it. You know what the fouls are? Trash talk. It's the most bizarre thing in the world, but apparently, allegedly, it's in the contract. You cannot talk trash in there. In this fight that happened on Sunday night, you're not supposed to be calling each other a bitch. It's just not. It's not part of the rules.
Well, I think that makes sense in my opinion, because the trash talk is for the build up to the fight, the lead up. It's not for when you're inside the ring. You're just supposed to fight.
I disagree. Like,
You know?
I mean, honestly, you're in a fight, so should be able to see. Here's the thing: the reason why they say that is so you don't say the N word, so you don't say horrible things about each other.
yeah.
That's why they say it. So they keep it general.
Yeah, it's to save the show.
Yeah, because they can't say you could trash talk, but don't say the N word. Like, you can't do
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
So what they do is they say, okay, listen, no trash talk. That's why they do it. So to the people that don't understand why they
makes
don't allow
sense.
trash talk, it's because they don't want them to hit way below the belt, right? So there was trash talk going on. They were calling each other a bitch, and the ref was warning them. And then he's like, all right, enough's enough. And John's like, I'm not done. The only thing that I still can't wrap my head around is when Floyd was pouring it on in the beginning and then held up, and it was in the fifth round.
Well, he knew he was winning. He didn't really have much to lose.
No, but what I'm saying is, according to this guy over here, was saying John Minucci, according with the Logan Paul fight, if it goes past a certain amount of rounds, they get paid more.
Okay.
I think Floyd could have finished John.
I do too.
Yeah, I think he
But
could have finished him early, and he didn't
money.
finish him early.
Money Mayweather.
Because I think that they would have made more money if the rounds progressed. I
Yeah.
do. And I think in John's head, John was like, hey, I still got... John looked fresh in the sixth round. So I think John was like, no, I'm ready. I want to keep fighting, you know? So he was all fired up. Floyd was kind of backing off a little bit, you know, wasn't pouring it on as much. So that's the only thing. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm off, but I do feel longer the fight goes, the more money they make, yada, yada, yada. But let me know in the chat what you guys think. The real jury.
Anakin says the fact that there was all that chaos in the ring with people fighting each other is insane. Yeah, that's... I think the inciting violence thing should be more talked about. Not whether or not like this thing was fixed or whatever, because even... Let's say like some of these theories are right and it was fixed, which I don't think it is at this point. I don't think anybody really thinks it's fixed at this point. But if you still believe it, whether you do or don't, you're still inciting violence in the crowd, and it's kind of like what we had said on Sunday night and what Angel Gotti said on her podcast earlier is like people could have freaking died. You know, like this, it turned into a whole other situation that it didn't need to be. Scripted but was taken too far. No, I don't think so anymore. I don't think so. I think this played out in a way that people weren't expecting. I hope you're feeling okay. Thank you, 2 joints. Is Logan kicking? Yes. Burrito says JRF. So is this young Gotti a real one? Is he with the business? I mean, look at who his father is. I don't know.
John III. So I can answer that. Sorry, I was taking a piss. So John III wants no part of this. He's not a mafia guy. He's not. John Jr.'s not in the game anymore, right?
So they say.
Yeah.
Moss.
Well, I mean, there's still connections. There's still connections.
What
yes.
are they going to do? Like, yes, we're still.
No,
like,
but I'm saying like John is not. Things aren't going down like they were going down, and like Lee said, because you have all these cameras and cell phones, you can't just be whacking people in the street and doing that shit, right? There are probably shady shit going on, but not like the old days. Whereas John III, we've spoken to him a bunch of times. He's a nice guy, like super nice guy, and he made it very clear he does not want to be connected. He's proud of his name, but he doesn't want to be connected to the mafia thing. He's a fighter. Like, he truly loves the sport. And John Jr. is a massive boxing fan. Like, if you look at the history of John Jr., like, he loved boxing way back when. So seeing his son compete and fight against Floyd Mayweather was probably a dream come true. But very smart move, getting paid up front. Super smart move.
Oh, is that what he did?
Yeah, Logan did not get paid up front, and Logan's still bitching about his money, whereas John III got paid before the fight.
I think that's a New York thing. I think the whole getting paid up front.
You savvy motherfuckers.
Yeah, and making sure you got your money first.
I'm not going to let that animal not pay me. What do you think of them calling him an animal? What do you think? Is that racist?
Who called who an animal?
No, like Angel Gotti is doing her podcast, and she's like, they're a bunch of animals and this and that.
Listen,
I mean, it is animal activity that's going on.
Listen, I'm not surprised that that word's being tossed around. Especially in a situation like this. What do you expect?
Oh, I should have asked Lee. I don't know if Lee's in the chat still, but John Travolta Gotti movie, that was horrible. That was so bad. That was like, I was wanting that movie to be good in the worst way, and that was horrific. That was so bad.
Let's go, champ.
Uncle Mike H, been a member for a little bit. 37 months, says I'm a lesbian. The mob is the best. Savage, wonderful, wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you so much, my man. Who else we got over here? We got a bunch of members. Got B-Man, member for 21 months. Says wonderful, wonderful. Brown Belt Gang, congrats. Make that patty. Let's go. We got the Hearns coming in. The Hearns was right.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Kudos to the Hearns. He was right.
Mystic, the people behind this event was the same people behind the Los Angeles rap show where grimy dudes had weapons and killed Draco on stage.
Really?
I'll bet Gotti people got searched going in.
You know what? I tell you what. So let's give credit to Hearns. Last night when we were doing the stream, Roberto called it. He said this shit's real. He called it. He said this is a problem and with the donations coming in. So shout out to Roberto, the Hearns. He was right, man. Looking at the evidence and listening to, I mean, we're mostly hearing Gotti's side of the story, but I mean, the Floyd side of the story is people getting trampled. Like it's just like, it's crazy, man. If you see that chick that's going nuts, what do you think about that video where the girl's getting her top ripped off?
I don't like that video. I don't like watching it.
You don't like the two girls beating the shit out of each other?
Disturbing.
Shit, that stupid bitch was like slapping her bodyguard, her own bodyguard. This crazy nut job over here. I don't know, what's her name? Oh, Jocelyn Hernandez. Dude, this girl, she's got crazy girl all over her face, man. Look, she slaps her own bodyguard. Look at this shit. She comes in, like this guy is her bodyguard. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Look at this. Dude,
Yeah,
what is wrong with her bipolar bitch?
Yeah, there has to be mental illness going on there.
Dude, that's craziness. Get this girl
you
out
don't
of here.
just irrationally act that way.
This is where you get the fucking mace and you spray her eyeballs out of her head, Jess. Right? You spray her eyeballs out of the head, you throw her over the shoulder, and you fucking launch her out of the venue. Like, what's going on here? But here's the thing. Everyone's got cell phones out, right? Back in the day, you could just fucking knock her out, Jess. Right? The good old days.
Oh, my gosh.
The good old days, you could just knock her out and just fucking say, get out of here, you crazy bitch. But yeah, a lot of that stuff. There are people brawling in the hallways, like tumbling all over each other. By the way, I apologize to Clarissa Shields. I called her a ratchet hoe. She's not. My bad, Clarissa. I was in the moment. But you're filming, like, what are you doing, man?
What the hell?
Like, what are you doing?
You would have been doing the same thing.
What the hell? No, I would not be doing that.
Yes, you
I would be recording it, but not go, what the hell? I would jump in there and save everybody, Jess. That's what I'd be doing. No, I'd be recording it for sure. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, all right. I'm kind of done talking about this, though. I don't think, is there really anything else?
No, I mean, there's only so much you can talk about the same event, same situation over and over again, you know?
Yeah, I think we've covered it. So, like, listen, guys, it was legit. It happened. The shit happened. It went down. We'll see what happens here. I don't think, so Lee thinks that they're going to run this fight back. What do you think?
If they do, I mean...
What the hell?
I don't know how they're gonna pull that off. I don't even know. Like, would they even sanction another fight after this whole fiasco?
No. Like I said, I spoke to someone, and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine the commission would even allow it after everything that happened.
Raid Mike Davis. What's Mike Davis doing? What is he? Is he live? Mike Davis had the exact same shoulder surgery I had. I had 3 different freaking procedures: 2 on one shoulder, 2 on this shoulder, and 1 on this shoulder. And the one I had on this shoulder, Mike Davis had the exact same procedure. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, me and Mike Davis have a bond. And he says it was like the worst surgery he's ever had, which I didn't think it was that bad. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. It sucks. What's Mike doing? All right, we got to talk about UFC 289 too. We'll chat about that and then wrap this puppy up. I thank everyone for stopping by tonight. Won't happen in the U.S., but it will happen. Yeah, they got to do it in Saudi Arabia.